Hey everyone, Soberoni of G&A Reviews here with a servant spotlight for the one and only Sakura Saber, Okita Soji. We'll be examining her stats and her skills, as well as going over pointers on how to utilize her effectively, and an overall grade comparing her to how she stacks up to the other 5-star servants. I also have another spotlight video up today for the other new Guda Guda event servant, Nobunaga, so please do check that out right after this one. So let's move on to Okita's stats. Okita's 13,225 HP is quite low. She actually has the lowest max HP of all the 5-star sabers, with even a 4-star having a higher max HP than her. And that trend continues when you compare her to all the 5-stars in general, where she's on the lower end of the HP scale. However, when it comes to attack, she makes up for it with an incredibly high 12,068 attack. There are only 2 other sabers with higher attack, and among all the 5-star servants, she's just shy of the top 10 attackers. Now moving on to her skills. Her first skill is Shukichi rank B, which increases quick card effectiveness for 1 turn between 30 to 50% depending on level. Her next skill is Weak Constitution rank A, which greatly increases crit star gather rate between 500% to 1000% depending on level for 1 turn. And finally, she has Mind's Eye Fake rank A, which applies a 1-turn evade and increases crit strength between 20 to 40% for 3 turns depending on level. Moving on to her passives, she has Magic Resistance rank E, which increases debuff resist by 10%, and Riding rank E, which increases quick card effectiveness by 2%. As for her deck and Noble Phantasm, Okita has a semi-quick deck with Quick, Arts, Buster, and a quick Noble Phantasm. Her Noble Phantasm is Mumyo Sandanzuki, which deals significant damage to a single enemy that ignores defense, and its overcharge effect greatly decreases defense between 30 to 50%. When you take a closer look at her cards, you will notice that she has 5 hits on her quick card, 2 hits on her arts card, 1 hit on her buster, and 3 hits on her extra attack. Her Noble Phantasm gain is 1.9%, and her star rate is 10.20. Okita has incredibly strong star generation thanks to her high number of attacks on her quick cards, and she does have some really strong Noble Phantasm gain for the same reasons. Fun fact, Okita is the first 5-star with a quick Noble Phantasm, and the first gold saber with a single target Noble Phantasm. And those traits alone already put her in a very strong position in the current meta. Okita is a very straightforward servant. Just looking at her skills and her deck, you immediately know what she's all about, and there aren't really any tricks to her. Her first skill, Shukichi, is actually a quick version of Mana Burst, and it's arguably Okita's best skill. Mana Burst-like skills are great, but what makes Shukichi even better than most Mana Burst skills, like Arturia's for example, is that Okita's Noble Phantasm is single target, so that damage buff is even more drastic, since it isn't being spread across multiple targets like with an AoE Noble Phantasm. Not many single target Noble Phantasm servants have a Mana Burst like skill, so it's pretty valuable. Her other 2 skills, Weak Constitution and Mind's Eye Fake, work in tandem really well, with Weak Constitution increasing her crit star absorption and Mind's Eye not only applying a dodge, but also buffing her crit damage for 3 turns. Weak Constitution is especially crucial because as a saber, Okita doesn't have the highest star absorption in the world. However, when it comes to leveling skills, I strongly recommend going with Shukichi first to maximize her Noble Phantasm damage, followed by Mind's Eye Fake and then Weak Constitution. You can go for Weak Constitution over Mind's Eye if you want, but the cooldown reduction on the evade is just so critical for Okita's survivability, given how low her HP is. And keep in mind that Weak Constitution only lasts a single turn, not 3 turns like her crit damage buff. So you aren't getting as much bang for your QP if you are leveling Weak Constitution over Mind's Eye. Okita's skills clearly indicate how reliant she is on crit stars. However, unlike most crit servants, Okita is very self-sufficient. She's one of the best crit star generators in the game, and more than capable of producing enough stars to make use of every turn, thanks to having a 5-hit quick card. On top of all that, despite only having 1 arts card, her Noble Phantasm gain is way above average. Again, this is thanks to a 5-hit quick card, and in fact, 1 arts quick Brave Chain from Okita will give you 20 crit stars and charge your Noble Phantasm by 45%. And also, given the fact that Okita is going to be critting left and right, you're very likely to just fill your Noble Phantasm gauge, sometimes within a turn or two. All this, and we still haven't even talked about her Noble Phantasm. Okita's Noble Phantasm is extremely powerful. It deals a tremendous amount of damage and completely ignores defense. It's great for any servant that loves to spam defense buffs and Imperial Privilege, and it also puts a significant defense down debuff on them for 3 turns. Given Okita's high Noble Phantasm charge, she can easily get another Noble Phantasm off within those 3 turns and really make use of that defense debuff. And while all of this paints Okita in a really positive, great light, which she deserves because she's a great servant, she's not without drawbacks. Her first problem is a very minor one. It's that her riding passive is abysmal. It would have been a lot better to see her have at least riding B or riding A so that she can generate even more crit stars. However, her much more major drawback is that she is through and through a quick servant. Quick isn't as well supported as arts and busters, meaning it's a lot harder to optimize her. She needs to be in a quick team to get the most use out of her, and there just aren't enough pieces to make a solid quick team as there are for arts and busters. And that's true both in NA right now and even in JP. For example, arts has the Tamamo and buster has Waver and Merlin, but quick really lacks the support that it needs, so it's really hard to get a good team around Okita. Now, that isn't to say that when it comes to team comp, Okita is bad with everyone, or that she has no compliments. She does pair very well with Waver and Hans, as does everyone, especially since both of them can buff her attack and her crit damage, and Waver is especially great for that. And while Okita doesn't need help to generate quick stars, Atlanta, Drake, and Gil can work well with her since all of them are great star generators with amazing buffs in the form of Beyond Arcadia, Voyager of the Storm, and Charisma. Atlanta in particular has a very strong quick buff to give to Okita. And finally, you can also use Okita as your primary crit star generator, as she can do a pretty excellent job of providing riders like Anne and Mary and Ushi, or crit archers like Emiya and Nobu, all the crit stars that they could ever want. And speaking of crit stars, her Bondcraft Essence is Forehead Protector of Resolution. It increases the crit strength of all allies by 25%, and this goes very well with Okita since she's all about crit damage. And even better if she's paired with Gil or Drake. If you're gonna go for a pure crit team, I recommend using this craft essence. As an alternative to her Bondcraft Essence, you can also use Gem Magecraft, or even Moonlight Fest if Okita is gonna be the only crit servant on your team. But naturally, I prefer Imaginary Around over anything else, since it increases both her damage and her crit star generation at the same time. And the same can be said for the new craft essence launch order if you also want to empower her buster cards, since she does have 2 busters. It's very easy to charge a Noble Phantasm with Okita, so I don't recommend anything like Kaleidoscope or Divine Banquet. Those are kind of overkill. But I do recommend Halloween Princess, Heaven's Feel, and the new Gudao craft essence if you just want to destroy someone really quickly with 1 Noble Phantasm. And overall, Okita is just very much the Saber version of Gilgamesh. Both are self-sufficient, capable of producing a ton of crit stars and using them, and they're both top tier offensively. Her skills aren't flashy, but they complement her playstyle perfectly, but unfortunately, as elite of a servant as she is, she does lack that versatility that someone like Gil has, and it can be very difficult to use her to her full potential in anything outside a dedicated quick or crit team, which not everyone has. That said, an elite is still an elite, and she will be the best Saber in the game at release, so she gets an A- from me. A lot of her problems stem not from her own design, but from the meta of the game just not being very favorable to quick servants. So all in all, she's a fantastic servant and definitely among the top 3 Sabers in my book. And those are my thoughts on Okita. Let me know what you guys think, and if you plan on rolling for her, just let me know in the comments below. And please do check out the Nobunaga Spotlight. It's also up on the channel today. Link will be in the description. And don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed the video. And I will see you guys at Gouda Gouda. Later.